Louis Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam, hold views on the origin of white people that are rooted in the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, the previous leader of the NOI. These views are based on a doctrine that combines elements of Islam, black nationalism, and unique theology perspectives developed within the NOI. Watch and pay attention.
We're coming up on you now, Mr. Satan. How did you get here? By what process were you made? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you were grafted out of the original black man. Your own scholars bear witness to this truth. Your scientists are now agreeing with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that the Caucasian people are a new people on our planet, and they have brought their figures in line with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad 6,600 years ago. Well, if that is so, is that a teaching of hate? You said that the thing that causes us to be listed as a hate group is our teaching on Yakub. My question to you is, can you, with all of your scientists, disprove what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said of you? You're not an ancient people. You are new people on our planet. You had to have a place of origin, and you had to have a source from which you originated. You even put out a movie called Children of a Lesser God. And Yakub was a god, all right, but he was a lesser god to the God who originated the heavens and the earth and all in between. You are a scientific experiment that we did with ourselves to see whether evil had the same power as good. So in the germ of the black man, the life germ, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Yakub saw the brown germ in the life germ of the black man, a black germ and a brown germ. And he said that if he could separate that brown germ, he could drive it into its last stage and clothe it with flesh and give it form and expression. And that Mr. Yakub did. Yakub was born 20 miles outside of the city of Mecca in Arabia. Go to the book of Habakkuk. It says, God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. These are two cities in Arabia. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked, which one of these two would you take for your Lord? The God that came out of Teman, or the Holy One from Mount Paran? Arabia is the birthplace of Yakub. It is where he taught the 30% who were dissatisfied to follow him. But the rulers of Arabia would not allow him to make his people on that peninsula. So they assigned him to the island of Pilan, or Patmos, in the Aegean Sea. And there he took his followers, and the process of grafting white out of black began. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it took 600 years. The process was a birth control process, a selective breeding process where you married the lighter on to the lighter, and you killed the darker, saved the lighter, marrying the lighter on to the lighter. And after 200 years, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said God revealed to him that there was a brown civilization on our planet. And 200 more years of that same process, a yellow civilization was in existence. And 200 years after that, that same process continued for 600 years. And at the end of that time, there was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed creature on our planet that is called the Caucasian. After you were made, you still had the language. It is a Semitic language. It is Arabic. You were speaking that language, but you had it when your father, before you were grafted from black into white, you spoke that language. Arabia was your home, but now you're a new creature, and you go back into Arabia and you start using some of the technology that you were taught by your father, Yakub. And within 6 months, you had the Holy Land turned upside down. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that they started questioning, when did this problem arise among us, that they were causing us to fight and kill one another by telling lies. You do the same today. Everywhere you go, you start pitting one against the other, telling lies, dividing and conquering. Well, those days are over. Now it's your time to suffer the consequences of your evil, even though there's a chance for you to escape those consequences, because what you did was divinely given to you to do, and you have fulfilled your role. And now the mercy of God is asking you if you would like to be a part of that which he makes new, or do you still want to fight God over your place? If you do, this is your end. Now, when you were in Arabia, after you were made Caucasian, and you started making trouble there, the king rounded up all that we could find and drove you across the desert 2,200 miles into the hills and the cave sides of Europe, where you went absolutely savage. It was 2,000 years that you were in the caves and hillsides of Europe until Moses came to civilize you. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that some of the Caucasians were hidden by the original people in Arabia, and they grew right up under us. And your Bible teaches you that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them to be wives, and race mixing began on the Arabian Peninsula. By the time Moses came, there were hundreds of thousands, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, of Caucasians on that Arabian Peninsula. And one among them was a king. Among them, he was called Farrakhan. And he was so smart and so tricky. He was about to trick the king of Arabia, but they caught up with him and his tricks, and they were about to destroy them, but they asked the question, you have to leave here. So the king, Farrakhan, they asked him, where would you like to go? And he said he would like to go to Egypt. And it wasn't called Egypt at that time, but that's how the Caucasians got into Egypt. They were sent there. And then the Pharaoh of Egypt enslaved them. And Moses then had two jobs. he had to bring the KV out of West Asia, Europe as it is now called, and he had to guide the Caucasians that were in Egypt out of Egypt. They were just a couple of 100,000, a few 100,000, and they were not the seed of Abraham, mind you. These were those who would present a sign, that is all, of a great enslavement that would take place near the end of the time of the rule of the Caucasians. The children of Israel would suffer in bondage 400 years, not those that were exiled to what was now called Egypt. No, these were Caucasian people, tricky people, people that began to create trouble wherever they went. Now look at the Middle East now. In Palestine, the original Palestinian is black. The original Arabian is black. The original Iraqi is black. The original people of that whole area are black. But in the nature of the being made, saving the lighter, killing the darker, this is the process that goes on in our world today. We favor the lighter-skinned black man who is mixed with you, and you push the darker brother or sister down. Where are the black Palestinians? They're pushed out. Where are the black Arabians? They're pushed out. Where are the real black Egyptians? They're pushed out. So this race mixing produced a lighter hue, and some maintained their whiteness, but the same nature.
Farrakhan, following Elijah Muhammad, teaches that white people were created by a scientist named Yakub. According to these narratives, Yakub, who lived approximately 6,600 years ago, was a black scientist who rebelled against the divine order. He is said to have conducted a series of genetic experiments on the island of Patmos, which eventually led to the creation of a race of people with a recessive genetic trait, resulting in white skin. Yakub is described as having a large head and a superior intelligence. He used his knowledge of genetics to selectively breed lighter-skinned people over many generations. This process, which supposed took 600 years, resulted in the creation of the white race. According to Farrakhan and the NOI, Yakub's creation of the white race was part of a plan to create a new people who would dominate and oppress the original black people. This narrative suggests that the white race was created to bring about a period of chaos and turmoil, which would eventually be overcome by the return of the original black civilization. Farrakhan's teachings on this matter are highly controversial and widely rejected by mainstream scholars and religious leaders. They are seen as pseudo-scientific and are criticized for promoting racial division. However, within the NOI, this story is an important part of their religious doctrine and worldview. These teachings are part of a broader narrative within the NOI that emphasizes black empowerment, self-reliance, and the rejection of Western ideologies and practices that have historically oppressed black people. Farrakhan uses this narrative to inspire a sense of identity, purpose, and unity among his followers. Critics argue that such teachings are inherently divisive and foster a worldview that is at odds with the principle of racial equality and harmony. The narrative have been labeled as racist and pseudo-scientific by many scholars and civil rights advocates. Louis Farrakhan's views on the origin of white people, derived from Elijah Muhammad's teachings, are a distinctive element of the Nations of Islam doctrines. While these views are part of the religious and ideology framework of the NOI, they remain controversial and are widely challenged outside of this context. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like and share your thoughts in the comment box below. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.